All right, so peace, y'all. So the world lost a true comic icon and comedy legend, and I've been kind of, just going back through some of the great archives of some footage, and some of this is I'm kind of tying some things together because earlier before, I found out about the great Bob Newhart's passing. I'd been kind of digging through some things and found an old footage of the great Christopher Lloyd as Jim Ignatowski, Reverend Jim on Taxi, playing the piano. I like to play the piano too, right? And he, in this where he starts off, he can't play acting, and then he shows that he's a virtuoso. But with Bob's passing, I was going back through some archives of Taxi, and there's a great episode. I kind of shared some of that with Jim, Iggy, with Carol, who the great Marshall Wallace, who was
Why, you're Carol, played by Marshall Wallace.
back in the 70s. And Christopher or Jim, when did that show run?
In the years 1972, 78.
And so, anyway, from going back through, I started listing. And, when we think of Bob, we don't really think of music, but there is a music tie. And so I started listening to the theme songs. And this is just going to be for the Bob Newhart Show because there is also Newhart and it had a great theme song. I think that was Henry Mancini. But this is the Bob Newhart Show that aired again from 72 to 78. But it had two different versions of that theme song. And the actual poser of that theme song was one of the creators of the show. And his name is Music. But his name is Lorenzo Music. And if you are from the 70s, if you were living in the 70s, or if you ever heard of a show called Rhoda, he was Carlton the doorman, the voice, and he also was the voice of Garfield, the cat, in the early animated series. But he wrote the theme song. He and his wife, Henrietta, give her creds here, but they wrote the theme song to the Bob Newhart Show. So there are two versions, and so there's been a little controversy on the internet. I kind of looked up some, people's, some didn't like it back in the day when it changed over. Thought that the second version was a little too disco-y, 76 is kind of when it's changed over in season 5. So let's listen to the first 4 seasons, what it sounded like. I've also, because this kind of ties in, I've been listening to some big band stuff, and especially Maynard Ferguson. I was a big Maynard Ferguson fan back in the 70s. Still am. But he was a stratosphere kind of trumpet player, played notes that, humans shouldn't be able to play. And this has, you'll see comes some of the changes, in that lead trumpet kind of playing. There were other great trumpet players at the time, Sefferson and others, Herb Alpert, but they didn't play that power trumpet. I'm thinking Rocky. Anyway, let's listen to season 1, and it's a big band, and it's got some, it starts off more with the, kind of an acoustic piano more, and then it goes into, it's got you'll see that there are a little bit more kind of transitions and all in this version. So but they're still very short. These are just television theme songs. Version 1, first 4 years, 1972, and it always started with the ringing of the telephone. So we'll get that.
Hello?
Calms it down, right? Real groove. What a great ending, though, right? And, it kind of had that transition and doing that kind of, those piano riffs, they're kind of like a Floyd Kramer, But that's so cool, and I love that ending, but it really kind of mellowed down there for a little bit with those little things. But another great example of some big band, 1970s. But here, the style of the second version is a little bit different, and it is a little more disco-y, but you'll hear some of that power trumpet. And then, I've also been talking a little bit about, because my first keyboard was a Fender Rhodes. Another prime example of great Fender Rhodes. This has actually some lead line in it. Some great chord changes in this too. Check it out. This is season 5 is when this one came out, version 2. Oh, I messed that up. It would be like that, boy. But what? Oh, what a great song, though. I'm gonna do that one more time. Like that? I love that. This kind of that line that's in there. I don't know who the keyboard player was, and I've kind of tried to dig a little bit. But there's also a great version by a band led by Patrick Williams, and some of the research I did is that he did a lot of stuff for the Mary Tyler Moore Company at the time. A lot more funky. Now, the name of this song is Home to Emily, Home to My Emily. There goes. I hope you've enjoyed listening to a little bit of these different versions of this great Lorenzo and Henrietta music theme song to the Bob Newhart Show. Like I said, this is Patrick Williams and his band and orchestra. Could have been these same players that were on especially the second version, but two killer versions. Again, thank you, Bob Newhart, because without your existence, we wouldn't have this killer music. Thank you, Lorenzo Music and Henrietta, for the music. And thank you for listening. Hey, peace, everybody. Love you.
You know, I wrote a lyric to your theme song.
Jim, could we just, spend 5 minutes without talking about the Newhart Show? Nice to meet you. Real nice guy. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Oh, all right. Sing it, you big lug.
Here comes Bob and Carol. His wife Emily really likes him. He has 5 people in his group.
Can't you?
Thanks, this was the best night I've ever had. Thank you. Here comes Bob.